I am Edda.
I'm Esther.
We are Edda.
For this assignment, we have our respondents from Japan who is living in Thailand. The chosen literacy is cultural literacy.
Cultural literacy, in short, is a form of awareness that enables us to act sensitively and effectively in a world of differences.
For studying this assignment, we have asked directly to our respondent whether she likes to take part in this assignment and discuss about cultural literacy. And we have mutual agreements to discuss about cultural differences she experienced as a Japanese living in Thailand temporarily now,
as compared to Malaysian cultures.
Our Japanese friend is very interested in knowing different culture in Southeast Asia, and her major is international study. We have divided our findings into three aspects. The first one is
body language.
What is the trend, Sushi?
We found that for both Malaysia and Japan, we have the same body language but the meanings are totally different. For example, no way vs ew is smelly, talk too much or lying vs talk too much or nagging, sorry, am, praying or begging. Are you calling me?
Based on our friend, Japanese tend to rely more on verbal communication than body language.
And this tends to be true according to Hona and Yoshino. Miscommunication occurs due to the ambiguities of meaning and different meanings in body language of different cultures. Learn each other's culture so we don't be respectful when communicating with people for other cultures. And second, respect when you discover same body language but with different meaning. Be open-minded to accept the differences between different cultures under the same body language.
The second aspect is food. In Japan, they tend to produce high quality of food. It's because the rules of expiration date in Japan are very strict, and they prioritize the freshness of the food even in convenience stores,
which is highly related to their craftsmanship.
In Malaysia, quality of food is not as good as in Japan. Some of the food products in convenience stores will already go bad even before they reach their expiration date. For example, I went to a store to buy some bread which has 2 days before its expiration date, but it is already molded.
Oh my gosh.
Our Japanese friend has experienced culture shock when in Thailand her salad was not fresh, which is the same experience as I had. Food in convenience stores are thrown away when it's nearing its expiration date, and it's illegal to ask for food that is expiring. According to Japanese government data, the country produces over 6 million tons of food waste per year. As for Malaysia, they don't usually go for food that is nearing the expiration date. The Malaysian government should emphasize on educating the future generation on how to reduce food waste. Number 2, learn from the Japanese culture. Instead of taking the one that has the longest expiration date, take the one that has the shortest expiration date.
First trend under this aspect is Japan is very strict on time. In Japan, the employees need to be punctual. The core idea of punctuality is that you should be ready to go with whatever is planned at the beginning. In both Malaysia and Thailand, it is common that everyone is not on time. Our friend experienced another culture shock when she stayed in Thailand, as the technician never apologized for their lateness. In both Malaysia and Thailand, we tend to be relaxing while doing work. It's okay to be late for 5 to 10 minutes while attending an appointment. Trend number 2 is read the air.
What is this, Sushi?
Kuki or yomu, or read the air, is a unique culture in Japan. And reading the air also exists in Malaysian culture. But the difference is, Malaysia will most likely ask around to find out what is happening, rather than to stay silent.
Trend number 3, no eating while working.
What?
Japanese companies have very strict rules. At a Malaysian workplace, eating while working is acceptable, such as eating chocolate or candy. Sometimes we even share with our boss and colleagues, but it depends on the boss in the workplace. Moving on to trend number 4. Working overtime is normal.
That is crazy.
In Japan, most companies will have to work overtime. In Malaysia, employees working in governmental sectors will get off work on time. For private sectors, it usually depends on the company's rules, but there is a law in Malaysia that protects them from overworking themselves.
The first issue is stressful life.
Expected that.
The norm of working overtime in Japan has caused a lot of stress for a lot of Japanese workers.
As they are encouraged to work overtime.
The second issue is korojisatsu, which is suicide by overwork. In Japan, the number of people who committed suicide as a result of troubles at work has reached 1,918 in 2020, and in 2011 reached about 2,700.
Which is mostly caused by service overtime, which can be seen from the study of Kawanishi, 2008.
Number 1. Work style reformation. Japanese companies might consider implementing flexible hours where workers can adjust their time to finish their work. Number 2. Encourage workplace wellness. Exercise and healthy lifestyle are one of the most effective ways to combat stress.
So from all the things we have talked about, we can conclude them into 3 main points. For body language, Japan has many unique hand gestures that have a completely different meanings as compared to Malaysia. Miscommunication is unavoidable when it comes to intercultural communications, especially when both cultures have similar body language but different meanings. For food, high quality food is important in Japanese culture, which is also important in Malaysia culture but is not often implemented. But both cultures still produce food waste due to either being too strict or too loose on their food rules. For work culture, the korojisatsu is a severe issue in Japan due to the stressful workplace environment, as Japanese show less humanity when it comes to work, where in Malaysia, the government consider human rights more than products and service quality.
In summary, Japanese have unique body language, high food quality standards, and strict workplace rules. And we have learned that, number 1, body language is important in intercultural communication. There are a few gestures that we have never seen before. For example, a gesture to indicate specifically that someone is brown-nosing. So it's important for us to pay attention to the nuances of Japanese nonverbal communication cues and embrace the differences with respect, tolerance, understanding, and compassion. Second, both Japanese and Malaysian culture produce a shocking amount of food waste. It is important for us to be aware of how our culture shapes our appreciation of food. We've also learned that different working cultures shape different working environments. The Japanese have a crazy working culture, as they tend to put their job first and are willing to sacrifice themselves for the company's benefits. So we must be aware and willing to adopt to their working lifestyle if we want to step in a Japanese workplace. Here are some further studies directions. Number 1, the roles of body language in communication in a Japanese society.
Future scholars should investigate further the traits and reasons behind the nonverbal cues.
In a Japanese society, as read the air, has taken a big part in the society and is a unique feature in a Japanese society that cannot be found anywhere else. Number 2, the relationship between the attitude of certain cultures towards food and food waste. Does culture teaches us how to appreciate food, and will it lead to less food waste if we imitate certain cultures? Number 3, the phenomena of workplace suicide in Japan. Workplace suicide is a common issue in Japan, and the reasons behind it should be further investigated in order to reduce or stop this issue from further escalating.
That's all. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
A little bit important, but we give importance to speaking more than the gesture. No, it is, but very, not straight. I really surprised when I went to the supermarket and I find the salad, because of the expiration date is near. But already spoiled. I have walked at the 7-Eleven. I throw food every day. You can take it. Yeah, if the boss is good person, we can get it. Yeah, nice. But actually it's not. It's illegal. 3. Come into the time. The time is very important for me. Some people are very strict, too strict. So I have the very bad experience with my professor in university. Do you know the word lead air in Japanese? We decide our behavior depends on the atmosphere. Japanese, most of the company is actually overtime work. It has overtime work.